Thank you for joining us, everyone. This is our welcome meeting for Year 5 and 6. Mrs. Jeeves and Mr. Craig will take over in just a few minutes. But before we do, there's just a couple of bits that I would like to speak to you about. The first thing is our golden rules. These are the things that we speak to children about all of the time to try and help ensure that everyone can be happy and successful in school. So we've got 5. We show respect, we are kind, we look after property, we keep ourselves safe, and we try our hardest. The rule we show respect has been adapted. It used to be that we let others learn, but we decided as a staff team to change it to we show respect so that we can really make it clear to the children that it's about showing respect to everyone all of the time. To support children and to encourage children to follow our golden rules, we have really clear reward systems and consequences in place. So our rewards, we have on a daily basis, we have things such as verbal praise, giving children house points, maybe speaking to parents at the end of the day, or if children do some fantastic learning or do something really well in school, they might get the opportunity to come down to my office and see me so that I can write them a compliment slip to take home. On a weekly basis, we have our Star of the Week in Celebration Assembly. That's where one child is chosen from the class to come up and receive a certificate, where the teacher explains to the school about how the reason why the children have earned that reward. We also send postcards home to keep parents informed of some of the lovely things that are going on, as well as positive phone calls home, just to make sure that there's lots of opportunities for positive feedback for parents. And then last term, we introduced our Waterside Wonders. That's a reward for children that are demonstrating our golden rules all of the time. And just 2 children per class per term can receive that reward. We also have our House Points team reward that was introduced at the end of last term as well. So that's for the house that has the most points over the course of the term, get together and get to celebrate together with a reward. Last term, we turned the hall into a cinema and the children got to sit in comfy seats, have some snacks and some drinks and enjoy a film with the other people in their house. But just as we have rewards, we also have consequences where children are not following our school's golden rules. And we follow a really clear system of a reminder, a warning, and a consequence. So, for example, if a child is talking whilst the teacher is trying to teach, initially the teacher will remind the children of the expectation. So they might say, Anna, facing the front and looking this way quietly. Thank you. So they're telling the children what they want to see. If the child continues not to follow that instruction, they're then given a warning. So that might sound like, Anna, facing the front and listening, thank you. Otherwise, you'll need to spend time practicing being quiet at break time. That's their warning. And then if the child doesn't follow or continues not to follow the instruction, then in the next break time, they have that consequence where we follow up and they spend some time practicing. So that's what's called an educational consequence. It's about teaching the children, about teaching the child the behaviours that we expect to see and giving them opportunity to practice that. Sometimes those consequences might be carried out at lunchtime reflections with myself or another member of the senior leadership team. We also have consequences that are called protective consequences. That's consequences that we might put in place to keep a child and the other children and people around them safe. The other thing I would like to speak to you about is attendance. You've probably seen in the press that there's a big drive to try and improve attendance in schools across the country, and we are aiming for a minimum of 97% for the whole school. So some of the rewards that we have to encourage the children to come to school, we have a weekly class attendance reward again in our celebration assembly. That's where the class with the best overall attendance gets a certificate and a trophy that they can keep in their class over the course of the week. But we do understand that sometimes children do get sick or maybe appointments and things like that. So we have something that's called a 97% club. So at the end of the term, if children have managed to reach our target of 90%, 97% attendance, then they get a certificate and a biscuit, and that's led by Mrs. Powell, and I'll come and speak to the children about that as well. But for those children that do have 100% attendance over the course of the term, we have our bronze awards. They have 100% attendance over the course of one term. We have our silver award for those children that have 100% attendance across 2 terms, and our gold award for those children that have 100% attendance across the whole year. And last year, those children that got the 100% gold award also got a treat from the PTA at the end of the year. So there's some of the things that we're doing to continue improving behaviour and working towards improving attendance over the course of this year. So I'm going to hand you over to Mrs. Jeeves and Mr. Craig now.
Hello, so I'm Mrs. Jeeves and work with the children in Year 5. As you can see, here is a photograph of our room, and at the moment all children share desks with their peers, which is a great opportunity for them to work collaboratively, to support one another, and to be able to bounce their ideas and their learning previous knowledge as we're moving on task. Every child has their own drawer to keep personal belongings in. They are asked to bring water bottles to school, depending on their lunch choice too. But Year 5 is all about creating those self-help, independent skills necessary for them to be able to negotiate socially through the next phases of their schooling and then on into working adult life. So, Mr. Craig.
Hi, I'm Mr. Craig. I'm the Year 6 class teacher. And as you can see here, this is the Year 6 classroom. For Year 6, we have a big focus, obviously, on the SATs that we do in May. And it follows up very much from Year 5 and everything that Mrs. Jeeves has already mentioned.
So our timetable is follows the same pattern. So we begin the day, children come in and they settle down to a morning challenge. This is time for them to get them into the learning headspace that they need. It's a calming time where they'll come in and they then focus on maybe doing catch up from the day before or set a new challenge which is focused around their current learning in either math or English. We then have assembly 3 times a week, or we'll go straight into math guided read before we have a break. After break, they come straight back in to complete a writing or spelling challenge, and then we move into writing. Lunchtime, and then the afternoon is used to cover all those foundation topics, which could include anything at the moment that we're covering in the long-term plan, such as we're doing deserts in geography. We're looking at the world that we're living in for our PSE topic. Science is thinking it's all about mixtures and separation. So yeah, lots of new learning to take on from previous years of the knowledge and skills that they've already been exposed to.
Fairly similar to year 5, we follow the same pattern. Children will come in and they will have some form of morning activity, morning challenge. We are basing ours a lot on the moment at arithmetic, partly because of the SATs papers that we have later on in the year. We will then have assembly 3 times a week. We'll then go into maths apart from on a Wednesday. On a Wednesday morning, that is when the class have PE. But then we catch up with the guided reading and the maths that we've missed in the morning in the afternoon instead. After break, we'll come back in, we'll have spelling, punctuation and grammar, followed by writing, then it's lunchtime, and then we move into our foundation subjects. At the end of the day, we will also have either part of the story that we're reading in guided reading, or we will have news round as part of our curriculum.
Mr. Craig, did you want to cover this part?
Yes, so every day the children will have guided reading sessions where they are taught key reading skills such as fluency and comprehension. We're looking a lot at the moment in year 6 at retrieval skills and inference skills. So retrieval skills being able to take directly from the text, the evidence, and then the inference skills are being able to read in between the lines to answer questions. Children will bring home library books each week to enjoy, and there is a reading diary that goes home with them as well. We encourage children to write in those books every time they read, whether that's at home or at school. And it would be really helpful if you guys could support your children by listening to them read regularly, encouraging the fluency, and then also marking in their reading diary to show us that they have read with an adult.
Other skills that they need for reading is around their vocabulary. So another really important skill for them to learn is the meaning of the new words they're exposed to. So part of the curriculum, we will look at words that are relating to the topic that they're learning, and then we'll encourage them to be able to use that new language, vocabulary, and the meaning of that correctly in transfer it into their writing as well. So anybody who needs additional phonics to be able to support their reading development, they have opportunity to participate in the phonics scheme that we run as well, from the nursery right up to our current year 2. So we don't just leave those gaps unchallenged. We will make sure that those pupils are accessing those interventions as well.
Homework will be given out to the children every Thursday. It is then due in the following Tuesday. Children will have a homework book that the spellings will go home in. Other homework will include daily reading, which is where we will ask you to take part in as well to make sure that the children are reading at home, and then some form of maths activity. For other year groups, it might be Times Table Rockstars. For year 6, we've just purchased a program called maths.co.uk. The children already have their logins for that, and their first piece of homework on that will be set this Thursday.
Spellings that go home, we will then encourage the children to take part in a quick recap in class, where they will be expected to use those homework spellings in a quick test to see who's got it and who needs to return back to those spellings. Okay, so this is just an overview of the curriculum as it is this term, the topics that we are exploring, including the core text and any trips and visits that we possibly have planned. The children at the moment are reading Shackleton's Journey, which they are completely obsessed with. It has been one of perhaps the most rewarding pieces of text that I've shared so far with the children. So we are very mindful of the importance that the core text has with regards to their interests and how they can take that forward into their learning, and also at home. As I said, lots of different topics to cover this term and into the year. Swimming is something that they're really looking forward to doing at a later time, perhaps in the spring. And we've already done the VR headset experience. The children were completely immersed into living as a Viking, because Vikings is one of the topics that we will be picking up on later on in the year.
Again, here is the curriculum overview for this term for Year 6. So in English, we are currently looking at autobiographies. We will then move on to poems, news reports, and first-person stories. The autobiography unit links in quite nicely with our book that we're currently reading called Rooftoppers. And we'll also link in quite nicely to the next book we read, which is Pig Heart Boy by Mallory Blackman. Maths, we're looking at place value at the moment. In science, we are looking at classification of animals and other living things. That is what linked in with our VR headset. And again, the children absolutely love that visit. In PE, we have fitness and yoga for this half term. In art and DT, we're looking at craft design and textiles. We're actually starting our art unit looking at photography for this half term. In RE, we're looking at Islam and Christianity and comparing those two religions. In history, which we will be doing next half term, is what the census tells us about our local area. This half term, we have geography, which is life in the Alps. Geography and Spanish are covered in Year 6 by Miss Sturmey. And then for computing, we have the safety unit and the network unit. For trips and visits, we did have the VR headset that has already happened for our one of our visits. Year 5 and 6 also have a visit coming up in the next few weeks about online safety. But for both Year 5 and 6, our trips are happening a little bit later on in the year, and we'll keep you updated about those as well.
So just leading from what Mr. Craig's just said, so we alternate over the term between art and design technology as well as history and geography. So we block teach those topics, and then if we're teaching art, for example, then the next block will be focused on design and technology. If we're teaching geography, then the next block will be history that's taught.
Okay, PE days. This year we have sports coaches, which are covering the teachers' planning, preparation and assessment time. So for most classes, both of the PE lessons are taught in one day in one block, which means that children essentially have a 2-hour lesson, kind of like you would in a secondary school. Children need to come in their PE kits on a Friday if they're in Year 5 and a Wednesday if they are in Year 6.
Okay, so just a few pointers. It's really important that the children are starting to pick up the pace with their reading. They need to become very confident, and the reading needs to flow. So daily reading is crucial in these upper stages, ready for them to sit their papers next year. Chapter books particularly, I know a lot of them are still getting used to reading chapter books, but again, anything that they could get from the library or take home from our library, as well as the books that we have in our book corners, they're welcome to have access to. Times Table Rockstars, again, it's really important that they're accessing either the app or online. We do have systems in school. So for example, today I introduced the tech that we have available in class. If they want to spend time out of play or lunch completing their Rockstars, then they're more than welcome to take the tech and go and find a quiet space and get on with that. We have spelling and writing as part of our weekly timetable, and then we're always open to anybody wanting to come in and support and volunteer in school. We have volunteers that help listen to children read in the infants, so if anybody wanted to come in and volunteer and help, then we're always welcome that additional support. So please, do come in and speak to someone in the office.
Communication, please make sure you speak to us on the door if there is ever any issues. The end of the day is usually easier for us, but if there is an issue that you need to speak to someone about straight away, please come and see us. There will always be a leader on the gate at drop off and a pickup, or if you need to arrange a meeting, please contact the school office on the email address that is on the slide, or call up. You will also get fortnightly newsletters with key dates that are included. There are Facebook updates that go out from every class across the week, and please make sure you check out our new and improved website.
Any questions? No? We must have done all right, Mr. Craig.
No. Okay then. All right. Well, if you do think of anything else, do feel free to come and speak to one of the teachers or myself on the gate when you see me. We'll be more than happy to help. But thank you very much for coming along. And if you found it useful, please let other parents know. We will be putting it onto the website very soon. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.